Happy Father's Day to all you fathers. I'm going to use a term today that's going to fly in the face of all you ladies. I mean, you have an opportunity to take it that way. I heard a term, Kaylee?
Yeah.
Unless you're, Kylie, unless you're needed, I need you in here.
Oh,
Who's
I'm
going?
not going back. I'm going this way.
Okay, that's fine. I need all the teens in here that I can get. Because my sermon is going to be more to them than anybody. And it's going to be to you ladies as well. But I heard a term months ago that just got my attention. And I couldn't leave it alone. It just kept not harassing me, but it just kept staying in my being. And the term was, every dad needs to learn to father his wife. And that just set me on a quest. It just didn't sound right for me, but the more I studied and the more I did research, the more that it sounded good. So where's Jamie go? I need to put up my board. Just tell him when he comes back. You can do that, Kevin. Now, we'll use whiteboard today and the screen, so we'll set the whiteboard over here to the side. Okay. But I got some interesting information from Time Magazine that I want y'all to listen while he's putting that up. And teens, I want you to listen really closely. What I found on the internet. You can go find it yourself. It's a group of psychologists, psychiatrists, and social scientists, behavioral scientists. Thank you, buddy. Follow me. And Time come up with this after discussing this with them, with the elitist group in the universities. Here's what they found. More than any other factor, the biological father in a family will determine a child's success. I didn't write this down, but I remember another one. They said that fathers, biological fathers, set a destiny for a child. 38% of all children who live in the Western world, that's us, live without a biological family, father. 38%. How important are the fathers? Listen to this. More than one half of today's children spent their childhood without a father. David Blankenberg's book on confronting our most important problem in America, and he said that you'd think it'd be drugs, gangs, or guns. But here's what he came up with. It's fatherlessness. Fatherlessness is the most destructive trend of our generation, ahead of teen pregnancy. He said in his book that fatherlessness is the most destructive trend in America, ahead of incest, and ahead of rape, and ahead of gun violence. Another quote out of Time Magazine said, the absence of fathers is linked to more social nightmares from boys with guns to girls with babies. Absence of fathers. 49%, listen to this, young people, 49% of all families headed by a single mother live below the poverty line. This is Time Magazine, not me. Compared to only 8% when there's two parents in the house. This study, according to Time Magazine, is linking poverty to the absence of a father, not the lack of money. Another social study said that 43% of all inmates that live without a father when they grew up is a positive predictor of criminal activity, more than race or poverty. Another social sciences have found a link that homes without a father contribute more to dropouts. Homes without a father contribute to more teen suicides. I heard this on the news, it was probably a month ago, that the highest suicide rate is from 17 to 22. Most of those, and I'm adding this, most of those suicides didn't have a father in the home. He linked homes without a father ahead of drug addiction, joblessness, mental illness, and a target for sexual activity and incest. All more than you want to think about it, come from homes without a biological father. I want to talk to you today about understanding fatherhood. Before you all come in, I made a statement I think I need to make again. I mentioned that some things I want to say about fathers will fly in the face of you ladies, but before you make a judgment, wait till I get to the end. Because you'll have an opportunity to argue with me in your head. But I'm just saying, put it neutral today. Let me talk to the fathers and these teenage girls. Okay? Fathers are so important. I heard one say in my research that inside of every male, Carla said Duncan was addicted to electronics, and he's addicted to me. That's all right, buddy. You get to ride on the truck this year for that. Duncan does, he's already with me, but his mind goes so fast we cross a bridge that says 54 ton. He says, Grandpa, how long is this bridge? Your truck is 60 feet long, and how much does it weigh? And he figured out if too many trucks on that bridge, it would break down, you know. He's making all that stuff. Anyway, they said in every male is 4 generations. That helped me to see something the Bible talked about, the problem of fathers passing down family traits. I want to end this on a positive note for all you that didn't have a good daddy. And what I'm talking about is more than a dad. It's a father. We're talking about understand fatherhood. What does fatherhood really mean? Do you know that one time, and let me say it this way, let me start prefacing it with this. What did Jesus call God? Father. Great. That's great. Jesus called God Father. Now, God had many names through the Old Testament. How many can, just randomly help me out. What is one name of God in the Old Testament? El Shaddai, that's one. What? Jehovah Jireh. Yahweh. What else? Elohim. Anybody else? Okay, the names of God happen because of something that happened. They have a great thing happen in their life, and they make a memorial. So we'll call this place Jehovah Jireh. We'll call this place something else. All due to what happened at that location. But when Jesus comes along, he calls God, he calls him Father. Now, that's not a title. That's not a title. It's a function. There was one time that God was not a father. Because nothing was formed yet. But once he saw and started creation, and he began to speak, and the universe and the sun and the moon and the stars found their places, that's when he became a father. Father is a function, not a title. And I did say this for you guys. I heard this statement, pardon me for repeating this again. I heard this statement months ago, and it flew in the face of me, and it said, every husband needs to learn to father his wife. That just was repulsive to me when I heard that. But it stuck with me. And I had to it sent me on a quest to listen and to learn and do research and all of that. And I began to see what was meant by that. A husband needs to father his wife. And in my research, I found that when a woman comes in a marriage and she's on her dad's arm, she don't just present her to a girl, to a young boy. He's presenting her to a new father. Because this young man is now he's got a new title, but he has a new function. Okay? I'm going slow, but I'm going to try to let you out early. I know Jamie has to take Duncan to work. If he slips out, he's not mad. He just has to get the tape and hear the rest of it. But before God was, God is. Amen? But when he began to create creation, he became a father. That's why we call God the Father of creation. Okay? You stay with me. We're going to learn here the definition of father in the try to read. We found in the Old Testament the word Abba, A-B-I, where we get the word Abba. New Testament's P-A-T-E-R, pattern, which both of them mean father. So let's write down here, father. Now, Emmy's already told me I couldn't write very well.
Kids are so sweet. I meant that sarcastically.
The word father means what? Foundation and source. Did I write them right? You have to put up my spelling. Sometimes it gets to be hillbilly. So, father means foundation and
Source.
what does, where do we get the word? Father means what? Foundation and source. All right. So when God began to create, he began to speak to creation and make creation. That's when he became a father, because he became the foundation and the source of the whole universe. But I found out something else that he is. He's also what? Sustainer. What God has created, he can and will sustain. He become not only the foundation and what else? He also became the sustainer. Let's go to Hebrews 1. Let's look at this, what the Bible says here. Who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person and upholding all things, what is he doing? Upholding
all things
by the word of his power. When he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high. What I want you to see, he is upholding all things, so he is the sustainer. Okay? He is the sustainer. So when God created the human family, he started with a male. That doesn't make us better. Okay? And all the women said,
Amen.
he started with a male. And the male was designed by God to be a
Father.
Amen. Together, the male was designed by God to be the father. Let me say it this way. Not just the sperm donor. That's my point today. What fathering really, really is. So the father is the father not because he's male, but because we function. So when we study the human family in Genesis 1, we find the male was made from what? Help me out. All right, soil. All right, he's made from the soil. You know what, Emmy? You probably could write this better than me.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll use blue. Right under father, I want you to write the word humus, H-U-M-U-S. Right, about the same size I did, so they can see it on the back row. There you go. Oh, you can write here. M-U-S. Still on just the other side. Okay. So God made this first male from dirt. Now, when he made this first male from dirt, he breathed into it, and it became a what? Living soul. That's it. He became a what?
A living soul.
So, from humus, we get this. Put right here. Put H-U. All right. You're not thinking so. But we can raise some of that. Okay. From humus, we get dirt, man. Okay. Now, the man is the living soul. So we get out of this dirt man, God breathed into it, into that life-giving source from God. Okay? Hope that makes sense to you. So man became a living soul. So you'll find also man was the first one created. Now I don't know, anybody know the statistics of the population of the world? Is it getting close to 7 billion? Huh? It's almost 8 billion? Okay, we'll call it 8. 8 billion people in the world, and God only made one. The woman wasn't even made from the soil. Okay? So, of course, God created the male. He put the male man, not the postal worker, but the male man into a deep sleep. Right over here. He put the male man, not the postal worker, but the male man into a deep sleep, and he pulled out of him another male. Let's think on that a minute. But he did some minor adjustments on this second one. He changed the plumbing somewhat. This second one, he gave a womb. And inside this womb, he had put a little room in there that would contain the fetus. One slow on purpose. Hope this makes sense to you. Now, from the womb, right womb here. Sit down on the job. Okay. I should give you these notes. From the womb, we get the word womb man. Okay? You ever think about, I've told into this a lot. Everything that a woman does, it has a man's name attached to it, a male. She goes to a gynecologist. Got guy in there.
That's a stretch.
Think about this. She ministrates men. She has menopause. No, everyone said amen on that one. I used to have a whole list of stuff that women are part of that has the male gender attached to it. You probably don't be thinking anymore. I won't get that later on. Now, so inside this womb, he puts another little room called the fetus. I spell it for you. Never mind, I spelled that. All right. From the word fetus, we get female. Oh, you're awesome. They can read your writing.
Yes.
All right. Just stay put. We might race that and you should put in next in case we do. All right. Since womb man came out of the man, man became the womb man's father, but more than that, foundation and source. And the father also became the girls. When you look for a man, I'm just going to tell you, check his father out. And you might check his grandpa out. And you might ask his dad how his grandpa was. I'm serious, I'm learning some things about fatherhood and fathering. You know, so many times, you girls don't do it, but so many times these girls, first guy smiles at them, they take them home and go to bed with them. Then they have these babies, and the sperm donor done gone. The girl has to put up with raising that child. Such things as that's why there's so many abortions, because they can't handle that. This is not a pro for abortion, but I'm just saying things happen like that. And until you're in those shoes, you don't know what you would do. Amen?
Amen.
Okay. So, the father becomes the what? Foundation and what? Source and what else? Sustainer. You know what, JR? When you get married, whenever that is, you know what God's told Adam before he ever gave him a wife? He told him to work. That's the truth. I looked it up. So when you get a woman, Make sure you have a job first. That's just the way it works. More of this ought to be taught in church. And everybody said?
Amen.
All right. You need to have a job. LaRon, I know you already got one.
Yeah.
And it's all right to play football or a scholarship. That's all great. That helps the pocketbook. But make sure you have a job.
Yeah.
God told Abraham, or God told Moses, we'll get to them later. God told Adam to work before he gave him a woman. Okay, let's move right on. So, whatever you men create, you become the foundation. I want everybody to look up here. We've been taught there's nothing wrong with this, and this has an element of truth. We're the head of the house. Really, we're the foundation. This is where fathering the wife comes in. We hold up the wife. Amen? Now you women are getting with me, right? We hold up the wife. How many's been to Disneyland before?
Which
All right.
one?
All right. Tell me one picture you took of Disneyland, Michelle.
She's never been there.
Oh, I've been to
Disney
Florida,
Okay.
whatever. Yeah. I took a picture of the kids with one of the Disney characters.
Okay, good. Who else been to Disneyland? All right. Did you take any pictures? What did you take a picture of?
The cups and saucers.
Okay, cups and saucers. Carla, you took your group down there.
Yep, picture of Goofy rubbing Jamie's head at breakfast.
Okay.
Donald
Okay.
Duck, sorry.
What?
It was Donald Duck, you just correct.
All right. You, Emmy, you took pictures of the castle? That's a good one. That's kind of where I'm getting to. She took a picture of the castle. Here's my point. Nobody took a picture of the foundation. I haven't heard any of you say you. You know you can break some windows and the city will let you replace them. You can change the walls and you can crash a truck into this building and we can fix the wall. Amen?
Amen.
We can rip out the carpet and the city says that's fine. But when the foundation is broken, they'll condemn it. The foundation is so important, guys. Young ladies, the guys that you marry is so important. They become your foundation. They're not just the boss of the house. They hold up the house. Nobody ever says to dads, well, I'm sure glad you bought groceries this week. Nobody ever says to dads, man, I'm so happy that you got the car paid off or the house, whatever. You know why? Because they're just holding up the foundation. Ladies, y'all missing out saying amen on some of this. This is what fathering your wife is. You're holding up the foundation. You're holding it up. There's a crack in the wall. We get that fixed, but the foundation is going to stay stable. Because I'm a father. I'm a father. The definition of a father, help me out, is foundation, source, and what? Sustainer. Okay. Remember that says. So being a father is not just being a male, but it's the function that you perform that makes you a father. Now, I erase this down here. Leave father up here. Here down, erase that. I got another word for you. In my research, I found another word that goes with father. And actually, until I started searching this out, I never even heard of it before. I want you to put progenitor up there. You know how to spell that? pretty good. And put equal value. Progenitor. That's where we get the word pro. I'm going pro with it. Means support. Or, and the dictionary also said it means before, in place, or position. And gene, we get the word genetics. So the father is mostly responsible for he determines the genetics or the quality, the personality, and the type of a person. So whatever humanity becomes, you can blame it on the women, but the father's produced it. And all the women said,
Amen.
see, I'm on y'all's side. All right. Now, when God wanted to start a new nation, He went to the male. How many knows that Abraham is called the father of many nations?
Yeah.
Well, that Burns, Sarah was in there too. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Sarah was in there too. Right here. Listen. Just put support. And genetics. I don't know.
You got it. You got it.
Genetics. All right. Now, God is so awesome. I want to write Abram, not Abraham, just Abram. And right here put Sarah. Sarai. Okay. Remember Abraham and Sarai in the Bible? When God wanted to start a new nation, He went to the male. He didn't go to the female. Because the male is the progenitor. He's the progenitor. I just thought this was kind of funny. In Abraham, he put and over here, he changed her name too. Sarai. See, right here, God put right here. An H-A race that says. And an A. You can do that right now. Rewrite it myself. Here God goes to a man, Abram, who was a pagan. He called him out. He became the father of many nations. He called him a father of many nations. So God put the I did there first. He put the in this business, you know. Abraham is an old man and Sarah's an old lady, way past the age of having a baby. And God calls Abram out, and he's a pagan. He's not a Hebrew. He's not a Jew. He's a pagan, worshiping idols. In my research, the word Abram means barren. Some translation says father of none. So God calls him out, and the first thing he does is changes his what?
Name.
Changes his name to Abraham, because he put the ha in there, because they laughed. Sarah laughs and how can I have pleasure at my old age? So God put the ha in there, and that is my thing. I just like that. You can raise them too bottom thing.
I love it.
But he calls Abram, he calls the male, and it it seems unfair if you don't understand fatherhood and you don't understand progenitor. It seems unfair that Sarah's not been highlighted as much as Abraham. But they changed his name to, you can put Abraham and Sarah under there. They changed his name to Abraham because his name Abraham meant father of many nations. So it's important what we say
Right.
to each other. Amen?
Amen.
Now, and God said, out of you, Abraham, will become a nation. It looked like it'd been more fair to say, out of you too. But you see, God knows his business, doesn't he? He knows his business. So, Father is a function that we perform. As God created all things, he also made the foundation, the source, and the sustainer. Okay, let's go to our next scripture, Norm. Romans 11:36. Notice what it says here in Romans 11:36. Well, that's a good point. You can preach that Sunday. She said, oh, come on. She said, maybe because God didn't mention her because they were one. Good point. Real good point.
Yeah.
Okay. For of him and through him and to him are all things, to whom be glory forever. Amen, so be it. For of him and through him and to him are all. Actually, things have been added there, but are all things, to whom be glory forever. So, since he made it, he has to sustain it. I'm a creator of Mike Crump Trucking LLC. So I become the foundation of that business. And I become the source, although I get my money from the people I'm leased to, my drivers get their money from me. So when I assembly said I become the foundation, the source, and the sustainer of that business. When God created creation, he became the, help me out, foundation, the source, and the sustainer. I'm telling you, when God put this thing together, he knew what he's doing, and he upholds all things by the word of his power. We just read that. So the male is the father because he produced a woman came out of him, he produced the sperm that produced the children, so he becomes the
Foundation.
the source as well as the sustainer. When you leave here today, I hope you have a new idea about fathers, especially you teenage, not teenage, you all past that, you young ladies and you young guys. Now, I want to end on a good note here in a minute, because so many of our young people today haven't had a good father. And, you know, I used to open it up for testimonies for say something about your dads, and I found out many Christians, older folks, didn't have good dads or good fathers. They were sperm donors, but they didn't support. I want to tell you something. What these young men learned from their fathers, if their father was a gambler, guess what they'll most likely be? If their father was abusive, what happens? Most time the kids are. If you grow up in a house and you see dad slapping mom, you think that's normal. See? All you adults help me out here. Is that correct? So, young people, you can change that.
Yes.
That's right. You can change that. You can be like President Truman, the buck stops here.
Yes.
I'm not going to do that. And I'll give you a scripture for it to help you in a minute. But we're about to the end. Fathers, the Bible doesn't say honor your mom and dad. It says honor your father and mother. So if a father could be honored, he could also be dishonored. So when you dishonor your father, you're dishonoring your foundation. Fathers must earn the right to be honored. You're not a father, young folks, you young guys, you're not fathers just because you can have a baby. But you're a father because you're the, help me out everybody, foundation, source, as well as a sustainer. Remember that. You guys need to write that down and keep it in your wallet, and every time you pull out a dollar, look at that and read it. I'm the foundation. As I get married, whenever that is, I'm the foundation, I'm the source. I'm the foundation. I hold up my family. We preach headship salon, and I'm not against that. But it's like Dad can be abusive. He's the boss. Listen, the father is the what? Foundation. He's holding this up. Males often supply the sperm, but they don't supply the support. I had a good friend of mine, a very, very spiritual man, very, very influential in my life, and his daughter was dating a guy, and I said to him, I said, is he a Christian? He said, we'll worry about that later. I was done with classes. He said, I want to know, does he have a job? There's a lot of truth to that. Because when a girl leaves and cleaves, as Carla said to one of her foster boys, the bank is closed. When they leave, they cleave. Now he becomes the foundation, the new husband becomes the source and the sustainer. I hope we get this. You know, I wish somebody preached that to me before I raised my kids. Some of this just hits me, Bill, just hits me in the face. And I missed it. You know, I'm the head of the house, you know, and, you know, nobody told me I was the support. I needed this. How many years ago? 50 years ago. 48 years ago. I needed 50 though, so I got on a roll. The male is not on the top of the family, he's on the bottom. He's the, help me out, foundation, source, as well as the sustainer. So if somebody can be honored, they can be dishonored. Father is like the root of a tree. A tree is no better than the root. If the root is rotten, the fruit's in trouble. As we close today, I want to give you boys, they are and Ron. I want to give you a good word, buddy. Ron told me his biological father wasn't in the picture. My heart goes out to that because I had a good dad. My dad was a father. He really was. I look back at what I've been studying for the last 3 months. Dad was a father. He worked hard. He worked from daylight till dark. When he had the sawmill, he'd come in, but he always had time to worship at noon. Mom would have the dinner on the table, and Dad would come in and eat, wash up and eat, and sit down. They'd eat in about 20, 30 minutes, and he went and filled out an instrument, and he'd play it and sing. He worshiped the Lord. Dad taught me to trust God. Dad taught me to love people. Would be in the evening, Dad would say, son, come with me. Let's go where Cash is. There's an old couple, their last name was Cash. He was blind, with a white stick. Dad said, let's go where Cash is. So we'd drive about 6-7 miles over there. And we sat on the porch, and me and Dad come up. Dad just started visiting with them and share funny stuff, get them to laughing. And we started home. Dad said, let's stop at Roark while we're on our way back. That's another old couple. Mrs. O'Rourke was my great grandpa's sister. We'd stop there and we'd get them to laugh. Dad instilled, I didn't realize at the time, I was just riding along and watching. But I like to do the same thing. Dad instilled in me to love God, love people. Dad always loved Mom. And he instilled that in me. So, I want to go to Matthew chapter 5 as we close today. Matthew 5:48. Now, JR, if your biological father was never in your life in a good way, I want you to look at the scripture. Okay? LaRon, I want you to look at the scripture. If your biological father was not a good role model, here's one for you. It says, be ye therefore perfect as your Father, which is where? That's your role model. If you don't have a role model here, follow God.
Yeah.
God can be your role model. You say He was the Father of all creation. He was the source. He is the substance. My biological father wasn't in the picture, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to be the foundation, and I'm going to be the source, and I'm going to be the sustainer of my family. Remember, your job is not your source. God is your source. Your job is what God uses at the time. If that dries up, God didn't dry up. He's got something better. And remember that. God has something better. So, Ron, at some point you're going to be the foundation. What else? Source, and what else? Sustainer of your family. I hope you got something out of this about fatherhood today. It may be a little different. And this may be a series. There's some whole bunch of other things I want to say, but I know you want to get home to dinners with your family and all that. So we're going to have a little drawing here in a minute. So.
That was good, Mike. Thank you very much.
As fathers are what? Foundations, sources, and sustainers. Now, you ladies at work, I'm not against that. But that father is the foundation.
Yeah.
He don't get a lot of praise because he's unseen sometimes. The beautiful castle that she took a picture of was built on a foundation. People don't take pictures of that,
Right.
but it's still there.